What's going on, all the great people of all the land? I'm your host, Nicholas Wilcox, alongside to my right or left, depending on which portion of the screen you're looking at, is my cousin, Johnny Man. And on the bottom, of course, we can't forget about our special guest, King George Zero. Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Thanks for having me.
Without further ado, of course. What the heck? You're like basically family.
I had a joke lined up. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going there.
He's gonna leave it there. Just leave it there.
He's like,
I'm just gonna leave it there.
Leave it there while we're okay still.
Oh my gosh. Well, welcome to the Fantasy Football Show. The NFL Draft, receivers and tight ends for 2025. I feel like this conversation is going to get a little bit interesting when it comes to how we rank certain guys. So without further ado, we're going to get right into that. Before we do, though, we got a little bit of a primer tonight, and that is the best free agent available. The best free agent available. In terms of, you could say best available by position or whatever, or a player that you like best that might fit with someone, or you could just say, hey, this is a bona fide best free agent available, and this player needs to be signed ASAP to a contending team or even a team that can use their skills. With that being said, I'm going to start with Johnny. Johnny, take some stage, my friend.
All right. Who is my best free agent out there? I'm going to keep it like, in our space, what we talk about, fantasy football. I think
definitely.
Yeah, still out there, man. Like, still trying to figure out how Keenan Allen doesn't have a job. That's pretty wild to me. I know he had the concerns last year when he came in, and he was a little bit ballooned, if you will say. But even still, he still was able to be an asset to the Chicago Bears last year. And I think we all know Caleb Williams, like that didn't go exactly how we had planned it. I mean, Keenan Allen still finished as a wide receiver 3 in total points last year. He actually had more points than Cooper Kupp to end the year, and guys like Khalil Shakir as well, Michael Pittman, just to name a few, Deebo Samuel as well. So I don't know how he's still out there. I don't know where he's going to land, because I think there's a lot of teams. Obviously, we're talking about wide receivers tonight, so we're still in that same space. But there's definitely some teams I keep. I'll always continue to bring up the Dallas Cowboys because they still have that need there. That's kind of a weird fit. I know. I see George's face. He's kind of like,
No, it's not even that. Funny enough, I did not get this question ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at some of these guys, and I'm like, bro, people are leaving some dudes out on the out on the market.
Yeah, no, there's still plenty of talent that's out there for sure. But in the name of fantasy football, that's where I'll go. I'll go Keenan Allen in the name of fantasy football.
Yeah, that makes sense. George, who you got for us?
We got a fantasy football answer. I'm gonna go with a non-fantasy football answer then. Mainly because it's on defense. Yeah, there are a bunch of really solid defenders, and we're not talking stars. Like, obviously, I'm not talking a $20 million a year player, but one that sticks out as or 2 or 3 that stick out as I'm looking at it. Isaiah Simmons, not re-upped by the Giants. I understand he struggled a little bit early in his career coming out of Clemson, but dude is still just an athlete. I mean, dude really gets up and down the field, sideline to sideline type linebacker. Mike Hilton, a really solid, slot corner, which I don't know why the Bengals didn't bring him back. They need all the defense that they can get. I mean, we've seen them the last couple of years, and they're just like, you know what? The guy that we drafted, who's been actually really solid for us as a slot corner, you can stay out on the market. Other ones that stick out, I don't want to point out all the older guys just because we did see a bit of a drop off in production, especially from guys like Von Miller has just simply not been the same since the injury. I mean, he's already 36. We kind of expect that. But other guys that didn't play so great in their last stops, like I really thought Matthew Judon at the Falcons was going to be a really nice pick.
Yeah.
Really didn't do a whole lot for them. Same with Zadarius Smith going to Detroit. For at least for him, there was so much pressure put on him after they lost Hutch. So that one kind of makes more sense. But like Justin Simmons is still out there. Kendall Fuller is still out there.
Samuels.
Yeah.
Asante Samuel. Yeah, it's crazy, yo.
Juan Davis is out there too. Like we still have some dudes that can really shore up some defensive fronts for teams that are just waiting, I guess. It kind of feels like in this free agency, they all kind of just said, all right, big guys, here's all the money right up front. Everyone else, we'll see after the draft.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
That was it, man. That's it.
You definitely mentioned one of my guys, Justin Simmons. Like, I still don't understand why he's not with anyone yet. It's really kind of puzzling to me. Justin Simmons is like one of the best, I think, safeties still out there in general.
This is year 2 of this happening.
Play. Yeah, and I don't understand it. So I really, someone's got to help me with that because that makes no sense. I know he's 31. I know he's a little up there in age and stuff like that.
Maybe he's just a jerk.
He's still a great cover safety. You know what I'm saying? That and teams should definitely need that. Like Green Bay, like can use him.
Yeah.
Like Atlanta.
Pair him up with McKinney. Ooh.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's definitely mixed. There's definitely places where I think Baltimore. What are you doing, Baltimore?
Oh man,
like,
no, stay away from that.
Pittsburgh. What are you guys doing? No. Go grab some depth for the postseason. Like
we cool.
Hey, yo. But I'm just saying in general, Justin Simmons was someone I definitely want to highlight because I'm just like, why is he out here still? He needs to be on a team. Detroit, like somebody, like who's trying to contend needs to go sign him. It's crazy.
He mentioned Cincinnati. Like they could use all the defense.
You mentioned Cincinnati is right. Like, he made cheap contracts. They don't want to pay nobody. But for fantasy purposes, yeah, I'm a little surprised that Amari Cooper hasn't been signed. Like, no one's given him a flyer yet. You know what I'm saying? I get why the last time we saw Amari Cooper wasn't the best work of his, but in the land of the NFL, where a 6'1" receiver that still has some decent skill sets and as a boundary receiver, like, you don't think he can't catch on to an Arizona situation, a Cincinnati situation? So we're talking about it, like a place where a smart team would go pick him up, like similar to the Chiefs. Like a smart team would go get him for a 1-year deal, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And see what else he has left on these tires. But a reunion, we've said it before, John. Dallas seems like the most sense, and that would be a great place for fantasy purposes as well, because you'd help out CeeDee Lamb, you'd help out Dak Prescott in terms of a value perspective, Amari Cooper. So it remains to be seen. I think one or two things are probably going to happen. Either, like George just talked about, we're probably waiting for the end of the drafts to find out, all right, what does the cap space we'll have left or whatever. Does the situation, are we contending this year? Are we in situations where we can afford, to bring someone like that in without the egos and whatever? Or is it more like, all right, like we're going to have to, bring someone in veteran wise to coach up people and stuff like that. Depends on the player and how they want to take that. But also Matthew Judon as well, with all these linebacker cores out here that could desperately need something like that. I just think a flyer on Matt Judon makes sense for a Baltimore, like, a reunion type of, not reunion, but, just, hey, go out and get someone like that, because it's still a playmaker in my eyes. Zadarius Smith from formerly Detroit and Cleveland is still out here too. So, just wanted to name some names that, I know we're a fantasy show. I wanted to mention that, but I also want to mention some defensive guys because that plays a role as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, on to, without further ado, sorry, hit the wrong button. So we're going to go to top 5 receivers for the NFL draft. Your top 5, we're starting with the number 5 of everyone's list. We'll also, same format as last week, we'll talk about the tight ends as well. We'll talk about some overhyped players, underrated, or dark horses. And then we'll talk about how to call your shot in this draft where you kind of see fit. Maybe a spicy call, maybe something that we're not seeing, whatever have you. So I'm going to start with George first for your number 5. Number 5.
My number 5 receiver in this year's class is Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State. I feel just from that reaction, I swear, if we're on the wavelength again, I swear
we might be.
Oh no!
It might be.
So my thing with Higgins is he's just huge. Like he's just one of the biggest, like genuinely just biggest downfield threats that this class has. His catch radius is stupid because he has a 6'7" wingspan. Yeah, he is 6'4" with a 6'7" wingspan. He's got really good contact balance. He's got soft hands. He runs routes with a purpose. And I think that's something that kind of get lost with some of these guys is sometimes if they know that they're not the primary receiver in this route, or they just know that they're just kind of going out to block or to be not necessarily a spy, but like a decoy, they don't run with as much purpose. I never saw that with Higgins throughout, the season or any of his tape. Really strong compete with his contested catches. He is really one of those guys where you kind of, if he's in man coverage, or if you know that you just have to throw up on somebody, like he's got the contest, he's got the will, he's got the length, he's going to go up there and make that catch. There are some downsides. He has a pretty limited route tree, which I feel like that's going to be a little for a handful of guys in this year's class, especially one of the two big guys for me. One of my top 2 also has a pretty limited route tree. But he also lacks a bit of explosion after the catch. He doesn't have that just pure breakaway speed, that 3rd, 4th, 5th gear to get away from faster corners. That said, I mean, with a lot of these guys, I mean, my top 5 pretty much, it's so tough to. The big thing for me is how difficult it is to kind of deny the traits plus the production. I mean, all these good traits. He's a jump ball demon. He also had 87 receptions for 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns last year at Iowa State. And they're not exactly, a prolific passing offense. And he was still able to put up really, really stout numbers like that in a pretty packed Big 12.
Yep. So just to kind of pepper on, some more of that 3% career drops out of 350 targets looks like here.
That's impressive. That's
yeah,
good.
no, like
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, no, we talked about ball security last week, like with the running backs. I think like you can look at the similar space, like as far as drops. Like I think that's one of the biggest things that separate players from the fantasy perspective on a year in and year out basis. Like a lot of times it's like, well, what happened to this player? Drops is what happens to a lot of these guys here. And you mentioned it, man. Like, you see him on film, or you even watch a game and he just pops off the screen at you. And any football junkie is already like, oh my God, who is that guy right there? Right. And I think the other thing too, man, is like, he can play all 3 positions out there, man. I think that's something that that's something.
Get him in the big screen. I don't need to be here.
That's one of those things, man. That I think it goes underrated. As far as wide receivers as a whole, it gives him a lot of flexibility wherever he lands at. Which more likely than not, if he's coming in our number 5 on our list, he's probably going to land with a team that already has some weapons already on offense, and some really solid quarterback play. The route tree piece, man, like you said, I think that's just one of the things that it does happen with younger guys. They have to learn how to play the position. And again, depending on where he's at and who his vet is, this could be one of those guys, especially in dynasty drafts, that could pay huge dividends for you, whether it's this year or maybe a year or so later. Nikolai Volkov.
I'm here.
There he goes. The man was deep in thought. He was pondering.
No, not at all. But you guys ain't ready for my number 5, honestly, because it's gonna be let's just say I believe in the traits, but something ain't right, man. Something ain't right.
I have a feeling
something ain't right. Just something ain't right about it. Like, as I type his name.
It's a lot of letters.
Jerion McMillan, number 5.
I knew you were going to say it.
I love look. Everyone's gonna be rah-rahing about how he's 6'5", the rare combination, the size and the speed, and how he's a great route runner. Don't get me wrong, all that's there. My problem is that he's not the number 1 receiver in this draft. If people want to say he's 2 or 3, I have no problem. To me, the reason why I put him at number 5 is because I think there's other guys in this draft where I can plug and play and not feel like I have to draft this guy so high. Like, people are already trying to compare him to Megatron and Julio Jones, and I'm like, yo, like, let's pump the brakes, because he could easily be a bunch of different busts we've seen in the past, right? Who was that kid from freaking Chicago that we always rated?
Kevin White.
Kevin
White.
Thank you. Him. Exactly. He could be that. Who knows? But again, it takes the right, tools and the right situation for him to be in. But he's my number 5 because I do see how people can easily be like, all right, like the tape, the film, everything looks great, stuff like that. But it's going to depend on scheme for McMillan, because if you ask him to be the vertical X receiver and stuff like that, I don't know if that's going to happen over time for his career. I do think he's a power slot. He's going to be someone that's going to have to slot in, big body receiver in the slot. Maybe he can take advantage of his long speed downfield within the middle of the field, hybrid tight end situation. But I just don't see. I see the X situation, but I just don't see it. That's not his best situation, in my opinion. So if everyone. This obviously, I could change this obviously if he lands in the right situation, but I'm just not, as far as like spending a higher round pick or the first receiver off this board. There's a couple other guys that I'm like, I will gladly take over McMillan, because if everyone's going to overvalue him, the couple of guys I have on the top of my board, they're going to slip down. So that's what I got for that, just to kick this thing off, because I'm surprised you guys will get into it, but I'm a little surprised that I'm the only one that needs 5 here.
Is it time? I was about to say, is it time for my number 4?
Yes. Sure
okay. My number 4 is Emeka Ibuka out of Ohio State, and I have, truthfully, I think one word to describe this guy: butter. I mean, he is, to me, one of the smoothest route runners, has soft hands. The thing that I love so much about him, which this is going to push him down some draft boards for people who get paid a lot more money than we do to actually draft these players, is going to be is just going to be some of the measurables. I mean, he's not the fastest receiver, he's not the biggest guy, but he's so polished. Like, if you want to talk about, to me, a guy that you can plug and play, it's this guy right here. I mean, you can just throw him on a roster right now, give him a route tree, any sort of kind, and he can do it. He can pull it off. He can run routes in the short, intermediate, deep. He can really do it all, and he showed it all off at Ohio State. Super smooth. He's a great tracker of the football, creates a ton of leverage with his hands and his body. I will say one of the dings I have against him is when he's not the one initiating that contact. When he's up against like aggressive or really forward press man, like it does kind of, push him back a little bit. It kind of holds him back. But I mean, again, all those awesome things. And he did just come off a national championship as, to me, arguably one of the most important pieces of that offense, because a guy like him in that short to intermediate, it keeps defenses honest, because good and well, like, sure, we can, break this thing out over the top with our young phenom. But if we just go back and cover them, this guy's going to eat us up on the inside. Like, we can't let that happen. So, he is really one of those just very versatile receivers I have in this class. And I mean, again, the production was all there. 81 catches for over a K and 10 touchdowns last season. I understand it's in a stacked offense, but you got to carve out that role.
I got no knocks at that whatsoever, for sure.
Like, he's going to be, I think he's going to be really good. I really, really like his tape. Funny enough, I thought he might have been able to come out last year and still been ranked really highly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. Like, because the receiver class this past year, get into that too, but could have definitely squeezed himself in there.
Oh, for sure.
Johnny, who you got at number 4?
Never too much, never too much, never too much. Luther. Yeah, man, I got him in. I think, again, kind of talking about this class again, he's somebody that, for me, I think about, again, the fantasy football perspective, what he could do, you know, in the short game, what he can do, you know, obviously in the screen game, very compact guy as well. Plays bigger than his actual size. Like, when you actually look at him and see that he's 5'11", I was like, shit, man. Like, it almost, I'm not saying he's this guy, but it reminds me of Steve Smith almost. Like, Steve
really?
Smith, him playing bigger.
Really?
Him playing bigger than what he is, like that part of it. Like
he does play up. No,
yeah,
he plays up. He does.
Okay. I'm not saying. No. I'm not saying Luther Burton's going to be Steve Smith, but it just reminds me of a Steve Smith as far as, you know, his size that he lacks and like the way that he plays. That's one of my guys, man. At number 4, man. Again, another guy that had a really good catch rate. So I don't think you have to worry about him putting the ball on the ground or anything like that. Might even be able to give you some work in the specials as well, depending on, you know, where he lands at. But overall, for me, I like this guy, man. He torched Tennessee. He's torched a lot of teams. So I think this is one of those guys, man. Smaller frame, can get busy out there. So I got Mr. Luther the Lover at number 4 for me.
You know, that's interesting because I do like Burden, but who I have at number 4 is going to shock you guys a little bit. Are you guys ready or no?
I'm so ready.
Run it.
Jalen Royals. Now.
I can hear you out. I can hear you.
Imagine him in, like, let's just say he gets drafted in Chicago, right? Imagine him in a scheme that uses the crossing patterns cross field like nobody's business. That would open up any offensive playbook as long as you have the quarterback that could, you know,
sounds like you're talking about Michael Thomas.
I'm
sorry. It was right there. I had to. I'm sorry.
I mean, he's not that tall. He's 6'.
No. I know,
but he has demon speed out there.
Yeah,
like he's someone that, like, he's definitely a field stretcher. Can take anything to the house. He's not just a straight line receiver. This is someone that, John said it, could be a Steve Smith comparison. Like, just the way he's agile and the way he catches the ball after the catch, like, and the way he uses speed across the field. Like, we know Steve Smith wasn't all that, like, speed demon like, but, like, I think Jalen Royals is like the perfect comparison for him. If someone else said something different, I wouldn't knock him. But it's like, I think Jalen Royals, if he lands in the right situation scheme wise, like, this guy is going to be something else. You know, he hung up 211 yards against Iowa State. Like,
yeah.
So there's a lot to love on his tape. What I do like about Jalen Royals. I think the big thing that will have to be improved upon is, I think the hand situation sometimes is something that he struggles with, along with the technique and the physicality. Sometimes he'll probably see. But that could be something that could easily be worked upon. You add 5 to 10 extra pounds muscle. And I think his footwork can, you know, just be his guide overall. So yeah, Jalen Royals for me, number 4, because I see him getting disrespected constantly. I don't see him in anybody's top 5, which is really weird. And they're overhyping McMillan. So yeah. Number 3, people. Number 3.
You might as well just change that number on your first guy there. I have Tet McMillan as my number 3. Right. My number 2, like 1, 2, and 3. You know, I'm pretty happy with all of them. Pretty happy, pretty excited with all of them. My thing with McMillan is, like, you do kind of have to look at, I mean, he does have all the traits. He has the production from last season. Yeah. I mean, and the other big thing with some of these guys, really 2 out of my top 3, you also have to look at like the situation that they're in. Like, we're not talking about Arizona is like, man, this elite offense with this elite quarterback, slinging to them. But I mean, we're talking about a first team All-American, all Big 12, 1,300 yards last season, for a team that relative to their competition, kind of trash. I said relative to competition, relative to their competition, but now one of the things that I don't know how real it was. Did you guys see that clip of him in like a cafeteria going around where
about the film
about him watching tape? Now, first off, there's not a
I left out on the bone for you.
There's not a ton of context to the clip, really. Like, I don't know how big of a grain of salt to take that with, because at the end of the day, we got like a 14-second clip on Twitter of a dude who it looked like was almost in passing. It didn't look like they were sat down and having like this, long drawn out conversation. It really kind of felt like a rushed answer to a question, maybe may or may not have known that they were being recorded even. So I don't know how real in terms of to him that sentiment actually is versus like, cool, we just how many times do we get random clips and videos that get released really close to draft day where we're like, oh, the world is ending. We got, you know what I mean? Like this guy's got to drop down draft boards. It happens every year. And how many times does that make us look foolish? It has made a lot of really smart people look real foolish. So, it's not that I don't want to be the fool because like no one wants to be, but at the same time, it's more of, okay, cool. That is clearly somewhere out there, somewhere within him. How much of that is actually realistic? Because as far as we know, he might just be talking about his own film. He might just say, I don't watch my own film, but I do a ton of work, watching that other team's defense. It's just this tiny short clip that we saw, and there could be so much more information out there. But I do still have questions about the consistency of him. If like I like the routes that he can run, but I do think he as well needs to develop a better route tree. Like a lot of these, it's just him being much more physically dominant than the guys he was playing against in college, which I can't blame him for that. Like, he's just out. I can't blame him for just going out there and clowning people. Like, I can't do that. The one clip you guys posted of him just stiff arming a dude before the ball even gets there. Get out of here, child. In the bucket because he's, no one's within 15 yards of the guy. But there's definitely got, there's for a guy of his size with his athleticism, there's going to be a place for him somewhere. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Love it.
Fair enough. Johnny, you're number 3.
All right. Emeka is going to bring back relevance to the Ohio State wide receiver name.
Oh, it's him. It's
after that egg sucking dog Marvin Harrison.
Him out of all the Ohio State receivers of the last 3-4 years.
It's not Garrett Wilson. Come on now, baby. Come on now.
No. Listen, hey, fellas, jumping the gun. Listen,
me and Nick are
Marvin Harrison brought shame to the Ohio State wide receiver name last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Chris Olave with all of his aggressive headaches not being on the field last year.
Hey, yo.
Hey, guys.
That man got his whole
let
head
me cook,
off.
damn it.
Come on.
Let me cook. Let me cook.
Be cool.
Let me cook. Y'all got y'all spicy take. Let me cook. Just get your hands off me. All right. No. I think like I said, man, I think Emeka, he definitely has the ability to do some really good things here this year. Again, depends on landing spot. King George has already hit on, all the things. He looks great out there on film. Rouse, the other part, like I'll say, man, just kind of what you were talking about is in this situation, the other talent that's on the field makes it look like he's not that good of a receiver in comparison to what is out there on the field. And you're right. Like, he could have came out last year. And I don't want to say he would have been a first rounder per se, but I think he definitely could have had an impact in the league. No doubt, man. So there's no need for me really to beat a dead horse when we get to, to this point here. So that's my number 3 guy.
Makes sense. He's my number 3 guy as well. Love
it.
I think Emeka is one of those receivers that's more just really well-rounded, very complete receiver, and can really have success like day one. But my 1B is Luther Burden. And so my 3B is Luther Burden. And Burden also, I know, right? Taking it back a little bit. But I think what Burden is.
We were getting into tears.
I know.
Thank you, King George. Thank you, King George. Stand on business, man. Stand on business.
Hey, threw a curveball. What we didn't also say, what Johnny was talking about with Burden was that, like, I do like what he brings to the table as far as from a tracking perspective. Like, he's one of those receivers that, when he goes deep, like, he's able to track the ball very, very, very well. That's something that's very natural for him. The weaknesses I have for him coming in was he's still a bit raw. There's also you can't hide. Your speed can only cover up so much. So from a technical standpoint, like, he'll have to get a bit more technical with his route running. Those are some of the things that could definitely hold him back a little bit. But as far as everything else goes, like, I couldn't pick between those two, and I had to put them both in my top 5. So had to put them both.
Leave that name up there. For me.
Sure will.
Number 2. He is my number 2. I think this guy.
All right.
Wow. For me, he lands into that class of players where his draft year, like this season, was not his best season.
No.
Where it kind of gets held against him that his last year, it wasn't his best year, even though Missouri was very solid this year. I mean, funny enough, big shout out to Eli Drinkwitz. Missouri's actually had 2 back-to-back really, really good seasons now. But we're talking about two plus seasons of really good production at the SEC level, even without maybe not the best quarterback. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think Brady Cook is landed on a ton of draft boards here. But I think Burden, for the technique issues that he does have, for the most part, he's a pretty smooth route runner. He does have a more developed route tree since he's been essentially the guy in that offense for more than one season now. He can create a lot of separation. One thing that I found really interesting with him was, yes, he was fast, and yes, at times it seemed like he was trying to just use that speed to get away from playing with better technique, but a lot of it actually came in like explosive ways. Like, it was like he would get to the top of the route and the guy is pressing on him. Next thing you know, Burden's behind him 4 or 5 yards and the ball is just then getting there. So another thing with me was actually the fact that he seems like he can kind of get lost in the wash at times, has a little bit of that inconsistency, but and again, he was better in 2023. Last year, again, he was still first team all SEC with 61 catches for 676. But year before, he was an 86 for 1,200 yard type guy. Like, you kind of look at it and say, well, where was that guy? So that's kind of where that inconsistency comes in and it's not like he was doing it against bad competition or bad defenses. I mean, last season, sure, the first couple games, cool, he torched Memphis, he lit up MTSU, same with Vanderbilt, but he also did it against Kansas State, who has a solid defense, LSU, on the road at Kentucky, Florida. He lit up Florida last year. I mean, I'm talking like he was 9 for 158 against the Gators. Yeah,
falling off a little bit.
But still, like, that's some production right there. So I really do think he's going to be. I think he's more than got a place, but I do agree with the issues with his somewhat perceived lack of athleticism and definitely some technique issues there. 100% agree.
Johnny, who's your number 2?
All right. Well, it's time for T-Mac, I guess, man. Hey, at the end of the day, man, we're playing fantasy football. One of the things, one of the things, man, one of the things that brings value, right, is red zone targets. Obviously, he's a big guy. He's going to get the opportunity to catch some touchdowns wherever it is that he goes. And to George's point, like the whole watching film thing, taking it out of context. There's a lot of people that have looked incredibly crazy in those situations. How about Randy Moss to start off? Not saying T-Mac is going to be Randy Moss, but like, hey, all those teams that passed on him.
T-Mac. Good Lord.
Listen, respect on Tracy McGrady. Come on now.
Listen, 3B. Listen, 3B.
Hey.
Listen, 3B. All right, listen, 3B. All right.
3B.
3B.
There's only 3 of us here.
3B. But no, man, I think it's one of those situations, right, where he could be a generational talent or he could be Kevin White. Right?
You hear that? No, I'm not no 3B. I'm a very wise man, all right? Very wise, all right? You should be listening to a wise man here on this show, by the way.
Oh, my God. Well, listen, changing screens don't change nothing, man.
Fade into the background, man.
It don't change nothing. But no, right? I think you have to take a risk in order to get a reward sometimes. And I think T-Mac could be that guy. He could be a guy that we sit here and we talk about 6 weeks into the season that is absolutely torching everyone. This is a passing league, obviously, and these guys, man, they're ready to go. They hit the ground running a lot more so than running backs. So I'll take my chances with T-Mac as the number 2 guy overall. And if it hits, it hits. And if it don't, then shit, to the waiver wire we go.
I hear that. I hear that. All right. Well, let's see. So I was like teetering with this when I was talking about my number 2 because I think Matthew Golden has everything that you want from a perspective of he's a well-rounded receiver. When you watch the tape at first, he gets to top gear quickly. That
0 to 60
snap a finger.
Stupid.
Snap a finger. And it took him, the stats don't really showcase I think how really good he can be at the next level. I think there's some things where similar to Burden, he'll get lost a little bit with concentration wise. In terms of there's times where I see the tape where, although he makes the catch, there's still a bit of a small hesitation before all right, I'm gonna catch the ball and then run with it. There's also times where I'm seeing that he's not the best blocking receiver. So hopefully he doesn't end up in a situation where he's asked to do that a lot. Like your Detroit's or, places where, they run first situations. So hopefully he lands at a great spot. But he is a great route runner as well as the top end speed. He needs to bulk up a little bit more so that way the next level NFL corners will take advantage of him consistently. And again, SEC championship game, 162 yard, performance. So I feel he put it all together. In terms of how, he just ate, so I definitely think as the number 2 receiver, I think in this class, he's definitely showing signs of he's like the basement, the little engine that could, and all of a sudden, he could definitely take off at the next level. But yes, are we all in agreement for number 1? George shakes his head no.
Put Matthew Golden back up there.
Put Matthew Golden back up there. The Golden Goose, number 1.
Yes, that is my number 1. And I kind of figured we'd get here. And I kind of figured I know. Here's my thing, because I assume you both have probably the best just actual straight athlete in this class. I assume. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because hear me out and don't get me wrong.
Sure.
This is my whole thing with Travis, because stud, just absolute phenom. Like, that dude is a straight up ball player. He is more than deserving of being a top 3 pick Like, no doubt in my mind, he is one of the 3 best players in this draft class. This is not about his ability as a receiver so much as, for me, it's about where he's actually going to end up playing at the next level because of just how instinctual, how smart of a football player he is. How many, I mean, I know as well as anybody, like, I would get him in the room and I'd be like, dude, you could be a great receiver. You could be an all-time corner. Because to me, those type of corners and defensive backs don't come around often. We just talked about 5, 6, 8 different receivers that could at some point in their career be a 1. And Hunter's no different. Don't get me wrong. If I'm a coach, he gets into my building, whether he says I want to play receiver or not, coming out into the draft, which again, that's part of it for me too, is we don't know. He hasn't said whether he wants to get to the next level and be a receiver or a DB. And to me, that's part of it. But I know good and well, some of these coaches are going to look at him and say, hey, man, I know it's training camp. Like you said, you might want to do a little bit of that coming out of college. Get you want to do some backpedaling for me. And then he's just an absolute beast back there. And they're like, man, our defensive backfield could use a little bit of, could use a little extra something because, like, and not to nitpick at all, a lot of what Hunter does and is so good at is all here. He's not this crazy freak athlete. He's not the strongest or the biggest or the fastest, but he's always a step or 2 ahead. And to me at least, that would make him so much more valuable as a DB than as a wideout, because DBs like him, generational. Receivers like him still don't always come around that often, but there's a lot more of an opportunity for other guys to reach that level versus what I expect out of a corner. And I understand the money part of it too. I really do. That is a huge part of it. That said, I expect corner to start catching up here in a little bit because look, Derek Stingley just reset the market there in Houston. How much do we think a Sauce Gardner is going to get? You know what I'm saying? No, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, as much as I'm like, Jets, just pay him. The corner market is going to start like accelerating big time, just as much.
It should.
As it absolutely should. We're paying these top end receivers.
Money position.
It's a big money position because as much as we're paying these receivers and it's a passing league, to me, it's the same thing as what edge rush used to be. It used to be all these pure pocket passers. It used to be these guys. First player paid, always your quarterback. Who was the second you need to pay? Your left tackle. Who's the guy right after that? It was supposed to be the guy who hits the quarterback. All right, now it's quarterback, receiver. Who's the guy that stops the receivers? Corner is going to be up there in money really, really soon. So from all of that, that's the only reasons I don't have Travis on my list is because I don't know if he's going to play receiver at the next level.
So if you knew he was going to be a receiver, though.
If I knew he was going to be a receiver, top two, easy.
But is
like not even a question. Is he my number 1? Probably. He's probably my number 1. And that's easy. So
Matthew Golden's your number 1. Why?
Matthew Golden's my number 1. Why right now for a lot of things you just said. Also, Look at this. We just tipped off in our national championship game. When you said Luther earlier, I was thought you were going to start singing One Shining Moment. I was like, no. Hey, we're not no love for Luther Vandross. Come on now.
I'm saying like just no singing.
Oh, well, I'm not singing. Absolutely not. How dare you, no, sir? You couldn't pay me to do that. My things with Matthew Golden is the fact that as much as we look at him and look at his tape and even look at the measurables, what he did at the combine, like we look at him and you're like, man, this kid should just be a burner. He should just straight up just be a guy who just, gets one route and goes with it, catches the ball and is super explosive, which mind you, he is ridiculously explosive. I mean, kid was averaging 17 yards a reception last season. That's kind of crazy, especially on a team with as much other talent around him as possible, as they do. Looking at like Bond and some of these and these great running backs who are also great receivers out of the backfield. But like Golden to me is right in line with like the size where a lot of these receivers are at nowadays. He's not like too crazy small. He's right in that wheelhouse. He can be a burner. He can play at 100 miles an hour because, like we just said, and like Nick, you just said, dude goes 0 to 60, in less than a second. Dude is fast. He's got really solid moves throughout his route that he can make. He does have those drops. There's no doubt about it. There are some drops in there for sure. But I think what he does well and what makes him so well-rounded is when he does get hit, he's strong with the ball in his hands. He can run the entire route tree between short, medium, long, and just super explosive. I mean, those explosive plays that, shoot, you can find him on a slant. Next thing you know, it's in the end zone type plays. That makes up for the drops every now and again. He does need refinement, but to me, Golden might have the highest just pure potential in most, like in a well-rounded way. Like I think any system scheme, you could probably plug him in to do something and he'll do it at a high enough level to where he's more than willing or more than able, to maintain that spot.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Like ton of sense.
Mm-hmm. I said my take was a little crazy, but like,
not so much.
It's not like
I don't think it is.
It's not crazy at all.
Wild. No, I don't think it is. I don't think
it's not. It's very fair to say because if the landscape is what it is now, where we have no idea if Travis Hunter is going to be playing receiver or not, this Matthew Golden makes sense as the number one. I have no qualms about it whatsoever. Johnny.
Well, we just talked about Travis Hunter quite a bit.
It did.
Yeah, and like
sorry.
No, bro, it's all good, man. I think those are like they're all really good. No, dude, they're all really good points, man. They're all really good points. I would just say like my thing would be like, like you said, like the pay side of it. And then the other element of it is we're in the league now. You know what I mean? And so
we're in the league.
Being a $185 and getting over there on the other side of the ball playing defense, different ball game. Different ball game, right? And you have that, and then like to even go further out than just like the on the field piece, like, people are coming to see Travis Hunter, and like, how do you make that happen? Hey, you get him the football, right? You get him on you get him the football, and you keep him on the field. So I think there's that, man. Like, no question. Like, I think everybody knows what kind of a generational talent he is, and I've always said this, man, about guys in college that play both sides of the ball, man. Like, when they make it look that easy, they are destined potentially for a gold jacket. Like, even a guy like, going back like a handful, like, well, actually not a handful, but going back a lot of years, right? A lot of years, actually. OG veteran out here. But just thinking about guys like Charles Woodson, right? Like, returning punts, playing defense, playing a little bit of wide receiver. Obviously, this is a little bit of a different scenario. But but Travis Hunter has said, like, he would like to play every snap if they would let him. And I think that all depends on a great business, meaning location. And I think that right there is really what's going to set him apart. And I think, to the guy, Golden, like, same thing, man. Like, I think it's a location spot for him. I think, we've seen plenty of guys who can move. And I don't want to say it hasn't translated to the league, but like, there's always been a little bit left to be
John Ross.
John Ross is a guy that comes to mind, right? Even, man, one of my guys. I was about to say, man, like one of my guys, man.
I remember those guys in college.
Yeah,
and
like
they were freaks.
Yeah, like we've seen it, man. Like we've seen it, and I have this recency bias thing that like I cannot get over. So like even like talking about I like this
Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, like until the end of the year last year, like it was not a thing.
It was not working.
It was not a thing. And then like the second half of the year, like it started to become a thing. So but yeah, man, give me Travis Hunter, man, for sure. Like, and I knew that was going to be the caveat with everybody tonight. So I just decided to stay par for the course, if you will. But yeah, man, that's where I would go number one overall.
Makes sense. Yeah. What I'll say about Travis Hunter quickly before we move on is that whatever team gets him, you just can't ignore his receiving prowess. Like, you cannot draft Travis Hunter and then tell him he can't play a receiver. There has to be a package. If you drafting him, you have to have a package already in mind that you want him to come and play. Now, is he going to play full-time receiver? No, but he should play at least part-time. The way he runs on film, the body control, the way he comes back to the corner, Shador, when they were playing with each other constantly, like that's stuff you need on the field, because that's, like you said, George, using your brain versus your body. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's those instinctual things that Travis Hunter brings to the table. Again, I just don't see a situation where he can't be used as a part-time receiver, and that puts us at a conundrum for fantasy purposes. But I would say, like, look, like, he cannot be ignored. Like, his long-term situation is most likely to be corner. But the reason why I stuck to Chorus is because, look, you can't not say you cannot put this guy on the field for him to be if anything, even a part-time receiver. What does that look like? Who knows? That could expand. So
yeah,
who knows?
And even for me, like, that's the other part of it. When I was looking at it, I was like, how big of that package is going to be him on offense? Because even with Charles Woodson, we saw it turned into, okay, he's a full-time corner and we've got a handful of packages. He'll get a handful of plays here and there on offense or on special teams whenever it's a specialty type play. And first off, I certainly agree. I thought that was kind of wasteful of his talents, but hey, so like it then becomes, okay, is he full-time corner with a sprinkle of receiver? Because at that point, I'm looking at him more as a corner, which that's not a bad thing, because that dude's a beast. I mean, he's a straight up ball hawk. His ball skills cannot be denied. Just like you said,
Definitely
like he's, like I said, top 3 pick, consensus, 100% should be more than deserving. Like, that's where he should be picked. He'll probably end up being like 3 or 4, but that's just because quarterback. Thanks, Tennessee. Thanks, Tennessee. Thanks, Will. Yikes. Thanks, Will Levis. I'm blaming you, Will Levis.
Oh, don't talk about Will Levis. Don't talk about him.
Oh, okay. Everyone's most overhyped receiver at this point in the process. Let's start with Johnny.
I know this is going to be like hot. I know it's going to be, but like we just talked about it, man. Like I've got to see it, man. Like I've got to see it.
I get it.
I've got to see it, man. Like we've seen this song and dance so many times, man. And then to compound all this, like it's almost like, oh, he's the wolf. Yeah, the wolf in sheep's clothes. Like, yeah, like shows up at the combine, blows the doors off the combine. It's like, oh my God, I've seen this before. And like again, hey man, maybe I'm dead wrong. I'm not saying like I won't draft him, I won't be a part of it. But it's just something about this just feels fugazi, if you will. And that's golden if we talk.
Yeah, no.
We're talking about saying he didn't say the name, golden, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Gotta stamp it.
Yeah.
Golden.
There we go.
All right.
This one was kind of tough for me.
I understand it, but
No, I 100% understand why. Like it's because, like you said, track record. We've been down this road before with a handful of guys, more than a handful of guys, and doesn't always turn out. I was looking at this class kind of like as a whole and where I'm seeing mocks going, and I don't really see any guys that were like unjustly super hyped up. So I kind of went with one of like the late risers, one of these guys who kind of broke onto the scene later on, and that's Jack Beck. I like the package. To me, it's a deep class. Like I see a ton of receivers on this class where I'm like, wow, I could see them doing something, being somewhere. To me, I just think he's gotten a lot of recent hype. The Senior Bowl performance, his whole story, all that. I just didn't see it on the tape at TCU where this guy's a potential, 5th or 6th guy in this class from seeing some people putting him at.
Yeah. I mean, it's not shocking to say that too.
Yeah. Like I like him by all means, but like, I don't know about that much.
I mean, I already talked about it. He's my number 5 receiver for a reason. It's McMillan. It's the same thing we just talked about. It's like, I got to see it. Like, I have to see it with him. And it has to be a certain situation where it's like, yo, like, are you going to be is going to be in the right situation to utilize all of his talents, or is it going to be just another one of these bigger body receivers? It's going to be a second round pick that's going to be a bust. We've seen that countless times over the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Second round.
If you're fantasy, I mean, look, like,
well, I'm hearing people talk about drafting McMillan at 12 this year.
I know, but I'm just calling it safer because the receiver class in general
crazy.
versus some other classes, like a 12 is crazy. 12 is losing your mind. 12 is bungee jumping off. 12 is bungee jumping off with no bungee.
Yeah, it's the Cowboys. Like it's the Cowboys this year. Like, what do we expect?
Well, they need a playmaker, so it's not something.
They need a lot of things.
They sure do.
Like a new GM. Sorry,
oh man,
something got me. Sorry, my bad.
Something definitely got you.
Yeah.
But yeah, underrated receiver. Currently.
Oh, I'm up first for this one.
You sure are.
I'm gonna go with a guy who's like.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I know you're thinking I'm probably gonna say one of the 3 Ole Miss receivers, and I like all of them. I really do like Trey Harris. It's a shame he just dealt with it. He dealt with injuries last year. Yeah, I'm not gonna go there. What I am going to go is even more local to me.
No. Oh, I'm going more local.
I'm going way off the board. I'm going Rock Taylor from Memphis.
Wow.
Rock Taylor. He's a big physical.
I didn't think I hear that name tonight.
No, I don't think anyone did. A lot of it is the fact that, especially, in situation, again, this is a lot of coming back to situation where he was playing. He's a big physical, traitsy receiver. I fully recognize he did not put it all together at times in college. But at the same time, like, look at where he was playing. He's kind of the only big time, like big play potential receiver on the team this past year.
And Memphis guys into the league, and then start making a name for themselves, So
hey man, Calvin Austin's I love Calvin Austin. Don't get me started on him. You're muted. And I know you love some Calvin Austin too, I bet.
Oh, 100%. 100% so. Like,
he's awesome, by the way. Yeah, he's an awesome dude too.
Well,
like he's a good dude.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I don't want to jump in and like go crazy about it and start, glazing over Calvin Austin, but like, yeah, man.
You want to.
Yeah, so bad. So bad.
So Rock Taylor, think a little bit slower than Calvin, but like 2 Calvins kind of stacked on top of each other, like 2 Calvins kind of in a trench coat. Won't say anything about, we know Calvin's not the biggest dude.
No, he can run though.
Oh, he can move. He can move, but Taylor, like, talk about some acrobatic catches in big moments. But the thing was situation. He was really the only big time kind of big play potential receiver at Memphis this year. He added some work and some experience on special teams during the season. Actually, this past year, I think he knew he's like, look, I'm probably not going to be high enough stock to be a day 1, day 2 type pick. For sure, a day 3 pick, but if he can start putting it all together, I think he's got all the tools and the traits. Plus, as much as I appreciate him, and I appreciate essentially a dying breed in college football nowadays, I don't think we're mistaking Seth Hennigan for what Seth Hennigan is. He's a fine, like, he's a fine quarterback.
Fine.
That's all we're gonna. That's all we're gonna.
That's all it is.
Yeah, but. Rare breed, stuck with Memphis for all 4 years, did not transfer in the portal, even after putting up the best numbers in his league and his conference for all 4 seasons. Got to respect that.
Definitely. Mr. John, your most underrated receiver at this moment in time. It's cold. It's cold over there?
Is it cold in there? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't
hear a fan over there?
Yeah. Ice tray, baby. Man. Yeah. Again, big time guy, big body. Obviously came from an offense. As far as Lane Kiffin goes, what they're able to do, pro style, ready offense, ready to go right out of the gate when he gets there. Obviously, dude's a pretty good blocker. again, he's somebody that, if he gets down towards the mid end of the draft, a Green Bay maybe, like something like that right there. Like that could
That'd be a good fit.
Yeah, that could be a really nice situation for him, for sure. And I think Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Harris?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I hate that would be such a good fit. I kind of hate that would be really good for him. Like, I hate that.
Yeah. And I think, like, obviously, if he lands in a situation like that with a team that has a competent quarterback, obviously gives him the ability to do some of the things that he's been able to do, find soft spots in coverage. Was a second-team All-American this year, I believe. And so, I mean, obviously the guy can play, no question, no doubt about that. But I think we should put some respect on his name, and he's my underrated wide receiver.
But, guys, he runs a 5.4.
Game speed.
I was about to say he's no Xavier Restrepo.
I know. Yeah, well, oh boy. I didn't think I was going to hear that name tonight, but I definitely, so, oh boy, yo.
Yikes.
Oh, man. Look, I think a guy that's probably started to rise up draft boards a little bit is a guy that, Johnny took my guy that I was going to talk about. Because if George wasn't going to talk about him, I was, but then Johnny didn't talk about Harris. So he was my 6. So I'm going to go with my number 7 underrated receiver. Isaiah Bond. Really think this guy could be somewhere where he fits anywhere in the slot, short area burst receiver. He displayed that at Texas. And the thing I watched on tape was that he has soft hands. And he overall just knows where to be in these short area and intermediate split plays. So look, despite size, 5'11", still runs a 4.39. So there's things to definitely like about Bond. He could definitely be one of those guys that, consistently is a chain mover. Consistently is going to be one of those guys that, he could be your, eventually down the line, your Adam Thielen down the road. So eventually crafting out his boundary-ish when he uses this, expands on this longer speed here. But also could be a special teamer. So there's a lot of things that could be volatile with Bond.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, there's no.
League needs some good. League needs some new gunners.
We do. The league definitely needs some new gunners. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Luckily, the Jets have one.
Oh boy. Here we go. Well, speaking of here we go.
We're talking about Dak Prescott.
No, we're talking about tight ends. We're talking about tight ends. The top 3 tight ends. Talking about top 3 tight ends, and we'll talk about underrated and overhyped tight end at the moment. So, all right, we're gonna start with Johnny. Johnny, who's your number 3 tight end?
Mr. Harold Fan Jr. from Bowling Green, and I will tell you why. I don't think that his game is staying in and blocking people. His game is catching passes. So if that is this man's game, you put this man in a space where he can catch the football. And I love smaller school tight ends, man, because again, track record, history, there's obviously a path there for those type of players when they get into the league to make a significant impact. So I look at this guy, man. I say he's coming from a small school, but even coming from a small school, looking at this right here, man, top production, average 141 yards per game against top 25 teams in 2024. It's got the ability for big plays here, 26 receptions of 20 yards or more. Hey, man, in a position or at a place where the league needs, and there's a whole new influx of young stars at the tight end position. This is a place right here where I'm comfortable getting me a little Harold Fan Jr. Here at tight end 3 for me.
I like it. I like it. George, you're number 3.
He's not in my number. He's not in my top 5 at all. But as soon as you said tight end and track record in school, I just had to make sure that there was a tight end coming out from Iowa
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
He might be my underrated. I don't know anything about this dude because I was like,
let's do it.
Actually, no. My number 3 is Colston Loveland from Michigan.
All right, for Michigan.
My thing with him is he's not a good blocker. Like straight up, he's not. But to me, he's probably the most developed pass catcher out of all the tight ends coming out this year. I mean, he essentially kind of has played like big wide receiver at Michigan, which is a school that over the last couple of years has really needed some more receiving threats. I mean, he's a freak athlete for a tight end, super sticky hands. He's really strong once he gets the ball in his hands, but like, full understanding that he lacks in blocking, especially on inline blocking. But I mean, he averaged like over 10 yards of reception and had 5 touchdowns at Michigan, which, I think we can all can't understate how much that offense struggled this year after pretty much the entire offense was like, oh, we just won a national title. We're going to go to the NFL now. So definitely saw the struggles there, but Loveland was a bit of a bright spot for them on offense.
All right. Well, I guess we're all going in different directions when it comes to number 3, but I mean, it's kind of obvious, but not really. Mason Taylor, son of Jason Taylor, Miami Dolphin Hall of Famer. Gotta go with just go on with the genes here. But I did like what I did see him a couple of years back, and then beating Alabama a couple of years back. That was something to look forward to. But what I liked about Mason Taylor throughout his his career is that he's not obviously he's one of those they call it the Y tight end, which is more of those we don't draft him for you to block. we pay you to make catches. But he creates space really well. Just a natural ability to do so. I'm not sure if that's DNA or what, but I do think Mason Taylor has everything it takes to be a solid, Greg Olsen type of tight end in the league. In terms of tape, what I didn't like from him is that, again, like we're not going to be paying you to block, but it'd be nice if you were able to develop that a little bit more instead of getting, ran over sometimes. Got pancaked a couple of times I've seen him. So it was definitely not the prettiest of sight. But again, a reliable target. Again, great vision when he does catch the football. And then the best thing I liked about Taylor was that he overall, he had a great freshman year, and then again, just that trajectory of just going up and improving year after year without getting stagnant is always what I always like best about certain prospects when they come out. Because I want to see a constant, are you improving? Are you working on your game? The whole thing, with McMillan, the tape thing, are you actually trying to improve your game or not? And he played SEC competition at LSU, so there's a lot to love in terms of technique and working that seam. So there's a lot to like about Mason Taylor for sure. So Johnny, who's your number 2?
I'll go with King George's number 3, Mr. Loveland.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he is.
Straight up, he really is a good player.
No, he's a good player, and I think for me, it's not a ceiling thing. It's more of a safe thing. You know what I mean? That's what I think of.
For sure,
with him it's a safe thing. He's a guy that we obviously not. I'm not trying to say this is who he is, but you think about guys like, Pat Freiermuth, who's a guy that he could give you a bottom floor tight end one in a fantasy world. He could potentially be, obviously your tight end. Well, not potentially, but he would be your tight end too, in a tight end premium, super flex kind of deal. So I think, if you're looking from a team perspective, safe. If you're looking from a fantasy perspective, it's also safe as well. So I think he's somebody, right, that if you get into drafts, that's a safe place to go, obviously, depending on what the depth chart is that wherever it is that he lands. But I think it's more safe than anything for me. I'm at a position where you cannot miss. You just you have to get the 4 for 40, the kiss of death of 8 points, or 10 in tight end premium. So I would say to be safe, use protection with Colston Loveland.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
He does not have that NIL deal. I'll promise you that right
now. No, man. No, he don't. He don't. That's what I'm here for, baby. That's what I'm here
for. Nick, pull up your number 3 again, because I have Mason Taylor as my number 2.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Is this so? Okay. Obviously, the first thing with Mason Taylor that obviously stands out for pretty much all of us is pedigree. I mean, like, come on. He also looks just like his dad. Like,
he does.
Look, he does. Boy, you look just like your daddy.
Spitting image.
Yeah.
The only little bit of, like, I don't want to say, well, I guess it makes sense if I say pushback, because it's talking about it is talking about his blocking. My thing with his blocking is that it's inconsistent. On first impact, it's usually not that bad, but what he really ends up lacking is stamina in his blocking. Like, if he gets like a really like engine type, motoring, like linebacker or edge rusher on him where he's in blocking, he'll get one good push, and then it's like, oh well, he's past me. Sorry about that, buddy. Which, and for what it's worth, was never really what he was asked to do a whole lot of, especially under Brian Kelly. I mean, that's just not how he's ever used tight ends. I mean, even going back to Notre Dame, that wasn't how he used tight ends all that often. But other things I think with Taylor, for me, and again, we talked about this, I think beyond 3 or 4 of these tight ends, there's a pretty big gap. Maybe not in production, but I think in NFL readiness. But for Taylor, he lacks in top end speed, but he seems like he's always working at his like pretty high speed. He's actually a solid route runner. He's got great extension, can make contested catches. Was pretty solid at that at LSU. And again, to your point, growth and progression. I mean, that's something that we don't always see out of these collegiate players, especially when they succeed pretty early on in their career. We saw a lot of growth with Mason Taylor, especially like watching actual tape. If you go back and look from his freshman year and then watch him now, it's a completely different player, very developed.
I agree 100%. But I have Loveland at 2 because what I liked about Loveland the best is that the consistency factor, that I know he's, like we said, he's safe, but I think he also still has some room to definitely grow in both blocking and receiving. So that's what I like best. Consistency over at least 550 yards receiving, in back-to-back seasons in Michigan. And I just think the pedigree for Loveland's definitely there. From a tight end that most likely, you could sneak it to the end of the first round potentially, depending on how certain teams are feeling about him. From a fantasy perspective, it's like definitely he's one of those guys that if you're starting a dynasty draft, like he's definitely going like tail end in the first round, early second round potentially. And then, from a perspective of upcoming fantasy football seasons, like he's someone that could have some sneaky tight end 2 value. If he lands in the right situation, it could be your every week starter if he turns out to get the volume. But rookie tight ends are definitely harder to nail down when it comes to these situations. I guess that makes everyone in agreement with our number 1, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think this one was even more consensus.
Yeah, definitely was. Tyler Warren.
This dude's a beast, man.
This dude's a freak, bro. This guy's a freak. He's just a natural athlete. When you look at Warren, wow.
We start with the fact that he caught for 1,200 yards last year.
That's you can take it away. You know what I'm saying? You can take it away. Like,
that's dumb. That's actually stupid. Like, I understand that's Penn
is
State's
it
game. Yes, it's Penn State's game. That's like traditional Big 12 Big 10 football. But a tight end with 100 catches for 1,200 yards.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's you know what it is? Never
Like
mind,
Brock
I'm not gonna
Bowers
lie.
out there, baby Brock Bowers out there. Shoot.
Tyler Warren, is he bigger than Brock? He might be.
I think
He's a big dude. 6'6", 250.
6'6".
Yo,
Yoked.
he's. Ugh.
Like a
Sounds
grizzly
like
bear can catch passes.
sounds like someone I want drafted at number 7 next year, or in a couple weeks time.
He is he is bigger than Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is 230.
Is Brock also 6'6"?
Brock Bowers is,
He looks like he's a little shorter, like 6'4", 6'3".
Let's see. Brock Bowers is 6'6". Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising. Like, I know he's like big, but he's like a little more lean.
Yeah.
I don't get 6'6" from watching him play.
No.
Tyler Warren, on the other hand, like he plays with some violence.
Yes.
Like he just abuses people when he has the football.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
And he does it all.
You know who he kind of reminded me of, like just like watching him? It's like it almost gave me like a Gronkowski feel. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like just out there, just like you know what I mean? Like he's the guy that, like, if he catches it and he's gone,
100%.
like
Just beating up on people. He's just beating up on people.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Totally. You know what I'm saying? Like Tyler Warren definitely has that, everything you want in a prospect coming out, like the pedigree, the track record, the statistics, the size and the speed, can be a big body receiver versus just your tight end. So there's a lot to love about that. And Tyler Warren could be definitely the alpha tight end for fantasy football purposes, especially for value coming out. Like some people I don't think know how really good Tyler Warren is. I know Brock Bowers was hyped a lot for sure, but I think Tyler Warren could definitely be. We missed out on Bowers last year. I'm not going to try to miss out on Tyler Warren this year for sure. Like I want to have him in definitely a few spots for sure. And here we go. Oh yeah, it's time. It's time.
Oh, what?
Chris Hansen finally got taken.
Johnny, you don't know, do you?
I don't. The only thing I do know about Chris Hansen.
No, I know. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Oh, okay, I was about to say.
No. That's not what I meant. No.
We out.
No.
Don't you know about Chris Hansen?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Nick knows exactly.
This is our buddy, the mad scientist, St. Dennis.
I'm just waiting for him to say that. Like, I'm surprised George has his PC. He didn't get deported or something. Like, I'm just waiting for that.
John, you met Aaron at the expo.
Probably a few shots, probably too deep, but probably.
Hey,
yo,
we all been
a
there.
place where George.
We all been there. Respect.
Yeah.
I have to respect. We've all been there.
Hey, John, you want me
All
to
been a
trip to
few
Tennessee to watch a Volunteers game?
Well, not a baseball game, but
No,
football.
I said
Why not?
a Volunteers game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely would.
Football. We'll go see George down there.
I would definitely go.
That's not close.
Not even. It's like at the other end.
Bro,
Probably like a 9 or 10 hour drive.
Yeah, that's like, dude,
literally.
for me to Knoxville is like 8-9 hours. Like,
Yeah.
that's not close.
Yeah.
So,
So,
where's
George,
it
you
playing?
George.
oh my God.
I missed
He
this.
isn't wrong.
Wow.
Actually, no. I know good and well. I'm not. I don't have the upper body strength to paddle up the Mississippi. I can promise you that right now.
Oh my god,
That's a death wish, is what that is. Actually,
Good Lord. Okay, so most overhyped tight end right now that we're seeing, and why?
Oh man, this is like
Definitely tough, right?
yeah, this is definitely the harder part of the gig right here, man. And this is what I don't like about you doing this.
I have one, but like I don't know how much of it's actually like, because I'm seeing a lot of variance on him, and it's Elijah Arroyo.
Okay, there we go.
I was gonna say,
yeah, okay.
I think
didn't
we're on
wanna jump the
agreement
gun.
on that.
Okay, I didn't want to jump the gun, but I was
So-
like,
I think we're on
No.
agreement on that.
I'm seeing a lot of variance. Like some people are thinking super, super highly, and like I get it. He's like he has the tools, but we're also talking about, like, I hate to always bring it up, or at least in this case, I hate to bring it up, but like those type of knee injuries that you suffer where you're missing essentially 2 seasons, even at the college level, those don't get better when you get to the NFL.
No.
You know what I
just
mean?
like with running backs. It's just like with
yes,
running
and
backs, dude.
I get it. He played all
A
of
la
last
Todd Gurley.
season. He played all of last season with Miami. I get it. And he was explosive. He catches the deep ball well, all of these things. But that type of injury history is one that is particularly scary, especially when we're talking about a guy who like does end up on the line at times at Miami. Like we saw that him blocking for Cam Ward. Like that's not something he didn't do. So he's someone who's used to that type of contact and that type of impact. And that's one that kind of scares me a little bit when it comes to injury history.
No, you're definitely not wrong. And that's something that you got there before I did, because that's what I was going to say. Like injury history. No.
And I hate that. Like it sucks. Like it sucks that like that's what we talk about, but like, yeah, I hate that one for him. Because
rooting for him morally, but
yeah, no, of course, obviously, like, those are the worst things that you know, obviously you never hope for, are those type of like really bad lower body injuries.
Yeah,
yeah, just sucks.
John, anything to add?
Nah, man, no. Like you, yeah.
Like the problem with these, it's like you don't want to draft him too high. You want to draft him in a spot where, okay, like
it's a mitigated risk.
Day 3 pick. All right,
yeah,
cool, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Versus like you're a second round, third round. No, I'd probably go somewhere else because of injury history. But if you fall down to the day 3 pick, like, yeah, 4th or 5th round, absolutely. Let's
for sure
let's swing for the fences, they say, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, the injury history there, you know what I'm saying? Him not performing for, you know, workouts and stuff like that is definitely concerning. So that's understandable. So it's not as like a overhype, but not a player that we don't want to, you know, draft too highly. Underrated tight end. I see a couple because after the top 3, top 4, we definitely agree that there's a few spots for, you know, some underrated tight ends in this class. John, who you got?
Well, you guys already had him in your top 3. You guys already had him in your top 3.
Was it Taylor?
Yeah, you guys had him in your top 3.
You guys already had him in your top 3.
No, real talk. I'm hearing Mason Taylor like I'm seeing some projections as like a second rounder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Seriously.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure if I hitch my wagon on that, but
yeah.
I mean,
I'm serious though. Like that's tough. Like
it is. So, I mean, for me, like, obviously, I guess to like the rest of the world, he would be an underrated tight end. But of course, you guys would be 2 assholes that would be in a draft that I would have to be battling with to
pretty much.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah. But like you got like, you know, you guys have talked about it, right? Like the progression, the competition, the athleticism, the genes, you know, everything that you would be looking for to check boxes on as far as oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even find the word I'm looking for right now. But things that aren't necessarily, it's not the stats, it's the intangible pieces, right? It's the intangibles that we would be looking for. Like he checks a lot of those boxes, and like, hey, again, man, you know, if you're saying, hey, day 2, right, 2nd, 3rd round kind of guy, that's a really good place to be because there's a lot of really good places for a talent like this to land. I think, you know, at least the first thing that kind of pops into my mind to be very, very aggressively a jerk, I guess, would be think about teams like Kansas City, you think about teams like Philadelphia, right? Like who that could be a place for me, like, right, like when you think about a guy like this right here, day 2 or day 3, some of these teams that are already really stout at the position or are stout at the position and can build a little bit of depth and take a swing on a guy like this right here.
Makes sense. George, who you got?
To me, this one's almost.
Don't say it.
It's kind of to me, it's kind of weird that this guy isn't getting a little bit more love
just
because of how good he was in college, and that's Gunnar Helm.
Oh, I thought you were say somebody else.
The one Texas pass catcher that like people. Well, I should
that
say
people are.
Yeah,
That
Aren't
are like,
aren't boosting up. Yeah.
Exactly. Like the one guy who's not getting the Texas, the UT Sarkeesian bump. But like he was really productive last year. Like he's a really good tight end. He's really good at everything. I mean, plenty of times I saw him blocking up until the second level. I mean, really getting a ton of push at the line. Can't forget. I mean, great size for a tight end. We're talking 6'5", 250. Caught 60 passes for 786 and 7 touchdowns. I mean, he's kind of a threat to catch the ball anywhere on the field. And one of the things that I noticed with him that is like won't work in the NFL, but is impressive that he's able to do it, is kind of a product of him being in a Sarkeesian offense, is find like that knack for finding open space, because he had a less defined role necessarily. Like if he wasn't blocking, he didn't have a super defined role. It was kind of find space, be that safety valve, move the sticks if we need to get it to you, because either Arch or Ewers is going to be able to find you because there's no one around you, because he's really good at finding those soft spots in a defense. And we don't see that all that often really from a tight end. That's more of a trait that you're like, oh yeah, that's our slot guy. Like, that's our slot receiver, not this 250 pound guy who, cool, it's going to take 2 of you safeties to bring him down anyway. Like it's not something you see that often with a guy of his frame and his blocking ability as well.
Yeah, so I'm glad no one said this name, because I think I might be one of the few. Go ahead, you could guess. You guess.
My only guess is going to be Ferguson, but I've got a weird feeling it's not. It's
definitely not.
I would have thought Ferguson because he's like kind of like a backdoor Oregon fan.
Who?
Is there Al?
Who's backdoor Oregon fan?
Is there Al in here? Who?
I mentioned Jordan James once last week, and now I'm a backdoor Oregon fan.
I was gonna say I wouldn't actually hate that because I also like Terrence Ferguson's tape. Like I thought he was actually really solid at Oregon.
I didn't mind him. I'm just going with someone he's getting no hype whatsoever.
Is the fellow from
Oronde Gladson?
Oh, kid from Syracuse.
Yeah.
The big orange.
From a fantasy perspective, I'm putting my target on, because the wingspan is incredible. 6'5", 243. The wingspan is crazy. He knows how to run the medium and deep routes. And although his blocking has to improve, again, he's going to be one of those move tight ends that you can be like, all right, like he's going to be utilized as a weapon. The Liz Frick injury from the year prior, he shut everybody up by having his best year of his career, 73 catches, 973 yards, and 7 scores. So playing for Syracuse ACC, not the SEC or whatever, but honestly, like he's going to be a value in this draft. And for whoever gets him, I think if he lands in a situation that he could be very lethal, good Lord, what a value that would be.
Got that Kyle McCord bump.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. But no, yeah, strong hands, great body control. Like, watch the tape, because his receiving skills are definitely underrated when it comes to these tight ends for sure. I'm not sure why he's not getting more hype in this tight end class, where again, top 3, potentially top 4, pretty much all set. Like in a world like that, and if he goes at be a late second, late day 2 pick or early day 3 pick, a steal. Be definitely a steal. But yes, we're going to the point of we are calling out shot. Calling a shot.
Whoa.
No, not that. Did a bow and arrow, not a shot.
I was like, what?
Flag on the play. Flag on the play. That's a weapon. That's a weapon. Flag on the.
Oh man.
In the age.
Where's your flag, by the way?
I don't have one.
Oh.
No, I had cards.
Where's your yellow cards? Where's your yellow cards?
Thought I had them in here. I guess I don't.
Oh,
I'll find
that's funny.
Hey, now this is the era of we're not allowed to use our hands, arms, legs, nothing to simulate a weapon, man.
Definitely not allowed to clip our fingernails either.
Man, I know.
I'm glad.
I was about to say, leave the guy alone for crying out loud. Like it's it's unreal. It's unreal.
Free 12. 12 didn't do anything wrong. Free
12. Unreal.
Do it with 12.
Oh, yo. But yes, calling our shot when it comes to receivers or tight ends in this draft. Johnny, you're up.
I will say this class, I don't think this class is going to be as good as last year's class. We were kind of talking about that before we went online. So I think that's a place where I'll live in that space right there. We talked about it. Really great group last year when you talk about wide receivers. And I don't know if there's anybody in this group that has the capacity to be Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas, Ladd McConkey, right? We even talked about Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall later on in the year. I shouldn't say doesn't have the capacity to be those, but to have that number or that caliber of guys, 5 or 6 of those kind of guys like that. Jalen McMillan, friend of the program here for me and Nick for sure. So I'm going to stay safe, and I'm going to say that this wide receiver draft class will be a step back from last year, and I'll let the rest of the general public kind of ride that hype train of what happened last year with rookie wide receivers.
George.
This is a tough one. Because I don't want to be like, pull a sleeper out, but oh god, he's that little? Never mind. Tez Johnson.
Tez Johnson.
Yeah. I was like, I know he's small. Oh, he's
really small.
5'8". He's 5'8", right?
Yeah.
No, he's 5'10", but he weighs $150.
I was about to say, I seen a thing on like X or whatever. Yeah.
Bro is like little.
Yeah. Find the sidelines and get down.
Oh my. I'm gonna call my shot. I don't know how much. You know what? This is gonna be a bit of a shot.
Let's do it.
Tyler Warren is gonna have a better rookie season than Brock Bowers.
Okay.
I think it's possible that he ends up in a spot that actually has a good quarterback. If we're looking at like the top 10 or top 15 situation in this year's class, I think Warren is going to end up. I think Warren's going to end up somewhere where they actually have a quarterback that's going to, not like it's actually going to be able to like the offense is going to be a little more functioning than Vegas last year, because last year Vegas's offense was kind of just Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, and then who?
Yeah.
By the way, with all that said, Bowers now with Geno.
Yeah, to the moon.
To the moon.
To the moon.
Like that pairing should. I don't know why. Like they should also be running a lot of 2 tight end because like Michael Mayer is real good as well. I don't know why they didn't last year. Like couldn't have been worse.
Well, that's the reason why he ain't got a job.
True. Yeah. Fair.
Right? Yeah, right. That's why
yeah. Just listen to us.
Right.
Stay employed.
Oh shit.
So I guess that Tyler Warren take is gonna be something I have to keep my eye on. That's interesting. That's very spicy. Where do you think he lands then?
That's I don't want to say my problem, but
yeah, because it's logjam in here, man.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I was
it's
intrigued by that
logjam in
take.
there.
I'm like, where does he land then to do that?
Because that's the thing. If
he's definitely telling me he's not going to be a top 10 pick then.
Probably not. I don't see, but even then, like a lot of these places either have the position kind of wrapped up or they don't value it enough or value it.
Arizona. Well, no.
I got a better spot. I got a better spot.
No.
Chicago.
I got a better spot. I think if he falls to 17 to Cincinnati.
I know
they need to fill out on defense. I know they have problems.
But also,
good Lord, they can't avoid it.
So hear me out. Hear me out. If he goes to Cincinnati, they might just say defense. Who needs it? We're throwing for 6,000. We're throwing for 6,500 yards.
That could be wild.
We're throwing, We're going to win
real.
every
We're going
game
buck
52 to 35. It does not matter.
Wow.
Chicago, we good.
Jeez, man.
No,
Because I mean, a lot of these spots, like when you
already
get,
have
like,
tight ends.
yeah, they all
Yeah.
pretty much do, man.
I mean, even like I said, it's maybe a team trades up or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I think Cincinnati would be the spot.
Cincinnati.
That'd be a sweet spot.
Yeah.
You're like, yo, like that would be the spot because I've seen a lot of projections for Dallas and stuff like that, but I don't see it. I think Tyler Warren does, like you were saying, I think Tyler Warren does fall in a good spot where it's like, yo, like,
yeah,
you can't pass
because
this
I mean,
up, like, you know, if he falls there. Like,
and we look at like some of these other places, like obviously Carolina's going to either try and grab.
No, don't be disrespected. Don't be disrespected. No. Cole Kmet is trash. No. Tyler Warren, beast,
better,
certified, way better. Not just a taller version of Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is, I'm gonna say it one more time, trash.
Could he? Well, I guess they have someone. Dallas has someone. Miami doesn't, but
Jonnu.
Oh yeah, and he came out hot last year in the last season.
But he's on the older side, you know what I'm saying? But
what's his contract look like? Is he on like a 1-2 year type deal? Like I don't think he signed long term in Miami, did he?
I can't remember.
Because didn't he get his didn't he get his big money from New England?
Yes.
It was like a year or two ago, and then it was New England brought in like him and
Hunter Henry.
And they're just like, we're going to all tight ends.
So he's got a 2-year deal, and it goes through next year. So maybe
I don't see Indy. Indy just needs a lot.
Yeah.
And then obviously a pairing of him and Kyle Pitts would just be fun. Like I could just see that being a lot of fun to watch, but I don't see it. Man, if he goes to, even if it is Arizona, I don't think Arizona is a terrible spot for him. I think that's actually a pretty decent spot. Like, doesn't have a ton of guys he's fighting for targets other than Harrison
and McBride, but like now you can get really creative on with what you want to do offensively. You can get incredibly.
I was gonna say, actually, no, you're right. McBride, they just gave him
all the money. So
So
when I just said, I was like, maybe not.
Shit. If he goes to Cincinnati, that'd
be crazy. I know. It's nuts. Nuts.
That'd be fun.
Wait, or actually, the Chargers. What do they got? They got nothing.
The Chargers signed
Disley.
But
Tyler Conklin just signed.
Conklin. They just signed
Conklin. It's loaded. It's a loaded room.
It's a loaded room. But I think like
it's a very Harbaugh room.
Yes. But like Tyler Warren's not a Harbaugh guy. Like
that's a Harbaugh guy.
That's a Harbaugh guy. 100%. So all right. So we'll go Cincinnati and.
Oh, what about Tampa? I mean, I know they like Otten.
Yeah. And then they got Jalen McMillan too, man. Like that's a
gotcha. Yeah, it's true.
That's all.
I will. So I'll say about calling my shot is yes, I agree that this class for receiver and tight ends it's pretty underwhelming. You're hopeful to get more guys that are more hopefully. In a few years, we look back at this class, and some of these guys definitely had a breakout, but then others are still in the process of having one. But man, I just have to call my shot on this Gladson kid. I do think that he lands in a right situation for the value pick, based on you don't have to spend a high draft pick on him and the versatility that he shows on tape. Like I said, I watched it the other day, and I was really excited. He was one of those guys I was like, look, like. Oh man, if I was a GM, like we gotta have him. Just because like in the NFL today, you gotta have a tight end that is fast enough to go down the seam while also still being able to, take away, your overall deep, crossing route or, bigger body, target in the middle of the field. I think Gladson can do all those things. I know the blocking is going to be something that obviously for all these tight ends is pretty much an issue for the most part, besides a couple. But that's something that could constantly be worked on. Constantly, you're improving technique, you're improving your lower body strength, stuff like that. But again, I think Gladson is one of those picks that he's not talked about enough. He's going to be one of those guys that hopefully lands in a situation that he could thrive. But yeah, with Gunnar Helm, I do think that people aren't talking about him enough either, which is also really weird as well. But yeah, Juwan Johnson stinks.
I was going to say the Saints need a little more than just a tight end. I'll promise you that.
They need a ton of work. They definitely need a ton of work.
The Saints need to leave the doors open to the facility and let somebody come in there and take all their shit. You know what I mean? Just so that way, like they can't go out there.
Are you plotting?
No, and you know,
you're saying clean out the Superdome, clean out the Superdome.
Clean it out, man. Clean it out, bro. Clean it out.
Lord, yo. Final thoughts for everybody here before we get up out of here. Watch the rest of this national championship game.
The rest of it, I've been watching it so far. What are you?
You bum.
You've been cooking out here tonight. You've been cooking.
I was about to say I've had to. I know that's all I'm gonna be talking about tomorrow at work. So.
Oh man, yo,
that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny.
Final thoughts. I hope. You know what? I hope you get a paper cut on your tongue. That's what I hope.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong for that.
That was great.
No, man, my final take is don't really got a lot left to say, man. It's been a pretty decent show tonight, I think, man. Appreciate the 61 people. Looks like that we got on here that this tuned in tonight. King George, brother, you definitely got a crown for this college football thing, man. I definitely want to tip my cap to you and show you love and tell you thanks for jumping on the show with us for sure, man. So those are my final thoughts here tonight, man.
George.
This should be a fun class. Honestly, we say it's not going to be as good as last year, and I probably agree with that, especially for the receivers. But I think there's a lot of depth here. It should be a lot of fun, I think. It's just I'm curious to see how things go at the top. That's I think what a lot of this. Same with the quarterbacks. I think the top is where it gets the most interesting, as opposed to a lot of years where like, man, I can't wait to see what shoot. We were just talking about the receivers, McMillan, a bunch of these guys, McConkey, even some of the guys that didn't maybe pop last year, but are up there. Like I like Adonai Mitchell. I think he's going to be a pretty darn good receiver, all things considered. We're talking about second, third rounders. We're not talking about the top of the class. I mean, we're like, yeah, you expected that. So this year, it should be a pretty deep class. Should be fun. I'm curious to see what we get into talking about next week with these quarterbacks. I'm excited for the quarterbacks, and I appreciate you guys having me on. I think Nick just was like, you know what, George watched way too much college football last year, just like every year. He's going to know stuff to talk about.
No, that's literally what he said. He was like, George, he was like, this guy does nothing but watch college football. And I was like, okay, like, we'll see.
Yeah,
like, no. After about 5 minutes, I was like,
we'll see.
This guy don't do nothing but watch college football, clearly.
Yeah, I was going to say, whenever it's college football season, it is college football season, mostly because that lines up on its own time. I don't have to watch baseball, basketball. Actually, no, that is one other thing. Why don't you want to go to Knoxville to watch a baseball game? They're number 5 in the country.
I'm not a big baseball guy, bro. Like I'm not a big baseball guy. And like growing up, like Knoxville is like it's football. And like I tip my cap to the UT Vols baseball team, obviously for the Natty, but like it's
not a Rick Barnes guy either.
What was the dead giveaway?
You said nothing about basketball. I'm like, I know good and well UT.
I love UT men's basketball. It just breaks my heart that Bruce Pearl is no longer the coach there, man. I was happy for him when they got there. It sucked to see him lose, obviously, but it is what it is, man.
But no love for Rick Barnes.
Hey, man, not till he gets us to a Final Four, then I'll change my mind.
Hey. That man's up there in age. He might not be the one doing it.
Might not be.
That's fair to say. Oh my goodness. Well, final thoughts for me is that what a phenomenal show. George will be back one more time. Talk about quarterbacks next week. Look forward to doing that. Man, inching closer to the NFL draft. What I'm looking forward to most, honestly, is like some of these hidden gems that every year always happens where it's like these guys that just find themselves in in situations, and whether it be drafted or undrafted sometimes, like it turns out like into the year, like who did this guy come from? He was undrafted for the practice squad. He ended up coming on and and then everybody's racing to the and everyone's then racing to the waiver wires to pick this person up. Holy Cross, local area kid,
Man played in the Patriot League, bro.
Get it.
Crazy, yo.
Get it.
That's what happens though. So sometimes you can't even foreshadow those. So, but anyhow, folks, if you are following us on X, please do so. These are the tags, of course. Thank you all for tuning in. Please like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.